So let me ask you something. Are you the same person you were 7 years ago? I mean, physically, just about every single cell in your body has been replaced by now. So if you're not made of the same stuff anymore, what is it that makes you, well, you? Today, we're diving into one of the oldest, most mind-bending paradoxes about identity, and you're going to see how this ancient puzzle sails right into the frontiers of our own digital future. And like all the best puzzles, this one, it starts with a story. A really simple tale, actually, about a voyage, a ship, and the unstoppable march of time. Okay, so this story has a name. It's called The Ship of Theseus. And it's a thought experiment that, honestly, it gets right to the very heart of what it means for something, or, someone, to stay the same over time. So just imagine this ship on a super long journey. It gets absolutely battered by storms, the wood starts to rot, the sails are torn to shreds. Now the crew, they're on top of it, right? They repair it as they go, they replace a splintered mast here, a worn-out plank there. But over the years, every single piece, and I mean every nail, every rope, every board, gets swapped out for a new one. So here's the million-dollar question. When this ship, now made of completely new materials, sails back into its home port, is it the same ship? I mean, it's got the same name, the same crew, the same history of that whole journey, but not a single atom of it is original. What do you think? And just to make it even trickier, get this, what if some collector gathered up all the old discarded planks and pieces and put them all back together? So now you've got two ships, one that actually made the journey and one that's made of all the original parts. So which one is the real Ship of Theseus? Yeah, this is where your brain really starts to hurt. Okay, now let's jump. We're going from the ancient world straight to the final frontier. Because this isn't just some dusty old puzzle about ships, it's a question that science fiction and, yeah, especially Star Trek, has been wrestling with for decades. So, how is a Star Trek transporter supposed to work, anyway? Well, it's basically a three-step process. First, it completely disassembles you, atom by atom. Then it transmits all of your information, your physical structure, your memories, your consciousness, the whole shebang, as data. And third, it reassembles a perfect replica of you at your destination. Right, but here's the really unsettling part. The show usually just kind of breezes past. To be disassembled means your original physical body is destroyed. Poof, it's gone. What appears on the other end is a brand new body, built from new atoms, all based on your original blueprint. And this brings us right back to our paradox, doesn't it? From the outside, it looks like nothing's changed. But did your consciousness, your actual stream of awareness make that trip? Or did you die in the transporter only to be replaced by a flawless duplicate who just thinks they're you? And this is where it stops being just science fiction. This problem is getting closer and closer to science fact, with the ultimate test of this whole paradox lying in one concept: mind uploading. I want you to really imagine this. Technology that's advanced enough to scan your brain and perfectly copy its entire structure, every single connection, every memory, every personality quirk, and then upload that data into a synthetic body or maybe even a purely digital world. Would that digital being be you? Well, one school of thought says absolutely yes. This is called the pattern theory of identity. It basically argues that you aren't your physical bits and pieces, but the information, the pattern that makes you who you are. It's kind of like moving software to a new computer. As long as the code is identical, it's the same program. Same you, just different hardware. But then you've got the opposing view, the continuity theory. This theory says that identity isn't about the pattern at all. It's about the unbroken, continuous stream of your personal, subjective experience. And from this point of view, a copy is just that, a copy. A total imposter who wakes up with all your memories right after your own consciousness just ends. So it all boils down to this fundamental disagreement. Is your identity something that can be copied, like a file? Or is it something that's tied to a single, unbroken timeline of awareness that can never, ever be duplicated? Okay, now here's a real mind bender that just messes with everything. What if, instead of copying and pasting your mind, we replaced it piece by piece? Like, imagine swapping out one of your biological neurons at a time with a synthetic one that does the exact same job, all while you're awake and conscious. At the end of it, you'd be entirely artificial. But at what point did you stop being you? Did you ever? And that brings us right back to where we started. You see, whether we're talking about planks of wood on a ship, atoms in a transporter, or neurons in a brain, the essential mystery is exactly the same. And this really hits the nail on the head. We can map the brain, we can understand the data, but we just can't yet explain consciousness itself. That subjective spark, that feeling of what it's like to be alive inside your own head. And until we can, the difference between a real continuation and a perfect copy is going to remain a pretty profound mystery. So maybe identity isn't some static, solid thing, not one single object we can point to and say, that's it. Maybe, just like that ship on the ocean, it's the journey itself, a process of constant, endless change, an endless motion that just carries us forward, piece by piece. And that leaves us with one final, very personal question. Just think about your own life, the person you are right now versus who you were a decade ago. Your cells, your thoughts, your beliefs, they've all been changing. So if you are being replaced, piece by piece, moment by moment, at what point are you gone? Something to think about, right?